Hi everyone, my name is Dmitry, and in this video we will try to figure out what the difference between guard CanActivate and CanActivateChild in Angular router. We will see different use cases, and in the very end of the video I will show you one interesting pattern, so stay here. And before we start, I would like to remind you that I have couple of video courses. First one about GraphQL engine called Hasura, which allows you to turn your database into real-time and performant GraphQL backend. And the second one about the Angular material theming. In this workshop, you will figure out how to properly theme your components, your application, and things like that. The links will be in the video description. Check this out and let's move forward. Okay, let's have a look at this application I prepared for this tutorial, and you can see that we have the toolbar with two menu items, and we have some text which indicates that we are on the home page, and we can jump also to admin page, which is secured admin area, and this secured admin area has few actions like add user and add product. And if I click on this button, add user, I see the form in order to add some user, and if I click add product, I will see the appropriate form for product. So as you can see, very simple application. And now let's have a look at the source code. As you can see here, this is the very simple Angular app. Inside the app component, we have the map toolbar, and we also have the main tag. And here inside, I use a router outlet in order to render components which associated with some certain route. And yeah, nothing interesting here. This is just a simple app component. Let's have a look at the app routing, how it looks right now. And you can see that we have the empty path where we render home component. This is what you have seen right there. And we have a bit more sophisticated route, which is admin. And we have, like on the route admin, we render the welcome component, which is also very simple. We will have a look at it in a second. And it has two children, add user and add product. Now let's go to the admin model and check one by one how it looks like. So we start from the welcome component. Yeah, when we navigate to the admin, we see this component which represents our welcome component. And inside TS file we have nothing, but here we have another router outlet where we're going to render child routes and its associated components right here. And this is just a section with actions and some H1 header. So this is basically this part, what you can see right here. And then if we navigate to add user, we will see that it has just a simple form. Inside TS file, we have also very basic form builder, and very similar thing we have done for also add product component. Yeah, this is how it looks like. And it's worth to mention that we have also auth, where leaves only one service, and this is authentication service. So far it has mocked functionality. We don't go to the server to check user authentication, or we don't check any JWT tokens, whatever. It's just mocked. It's just for this particular example. So I hope everything is clear for now. And as you may notice that we have access to admin for anyone. We don't have any custom logic which protects our route from unauthorized users. And we're going to fix it. And We will fix it with the CanActivate guard, which you most probably all know, but for those who is not aware, it might be useful. So let's go to the code, and I'm going to create the CanActivate road guard first, and I will be using the extension. You're always asking me how called this extension. It's called NX console, which allows you to generate components, and this is how it looks like. NX console, once you installed, you will be able to click on some folder, whatever, and you will get this ng generate UI, and here you can pick that you want to generate guard. So let's do it, and I will name it like authentication. Then we have to pick which one guard type it is. So I will pick CanActivate. The rest we will check maybe in some next videos. But for now we care only about CanActivate. Then I say that it should be rendered under the auth folder, and then I tick skip tests because I don't need tests for this particular case because it's just example, and then I just click run and it should generate authentication guard. And let's have a look inside. What do we have? So as you can see that this is just service. Yeah, you can see injectable provided in root, and the one difference is that it implements CanActivate. It implements CanActivate because this service which we're going to use at the authentication guard should always have this CanActivate method, and implements kind of forces us to implement some logic there. Here you can see that it takes two parameters, this CanActivate method. You get activated route snapshot, and you get the routers, the whole router state snapshot. And you should return the observable of Boolean or URL tree if you want to redirect user to some another route. Or you can also return the promise with the same like Boolean or URL tree, or it can be just Boolean, or it can be just URL tree. So far it returns true, so always everyone can access the route which is protected with this authentication guard. But let's make it a little bit smarter. So I'm going to inject inside the constructor my auth service. So I will call it auth. Here we go, and here I will say that please check is logged in, and then I will use pipe, and inside pipe I will use map, and I say that so I will get here the result, or what returns this is logged in. So I will get some Boolean, and I will name it like if is authenticated, or let's say is logged in, right? And I either return logged in if it's true, or if it's not true, I want to return URL tree in order to redirect user to some particular route, let's say on the home page. And in order to build this URL tree, I need to inject also a router. Here we go, and here I say that please create URL tree for empty route. So it means for home page, right? And this is what we're going to return, but we have to also connect this authentication guard with some particular route, correct? And in order to do this, we go to our app routing, and I say that the admin route should be activated. So I'm using this keyword CanActivate for this. And inside the array, I say that it should path this guard. So, oops, I forgot comma here. So yeah, now if we attach the authentication guard to this road, it will check first our CanActivate method. If it returns true, then it instantiates this component we defined here. Otherwise, either happens nothing if we return false, or it will be we will be redirected to the URL we defined inside the URL tree. And if we save it, let me check if I saved. Yeah, looks fine. And you can see that now it works fine because we return hard-coded true value. Now let's try to return false, just to emulate that user was logged out or something like this. And you can see that we were immediately redirected to the home page. I tried to navigate to the admin, but it doesn't work because we protected the admin. So CanActivate takes the routing you are applying to and everything, all children which goes after this admin route, they will be protected by this authentication guard. Okay, so let's maybe revert it back to true. And let's console log something here inside our CanActivate. So I say that like console log, like I'm checking out, okay? And now let's try to go back to our web app and open the console. Here we go. I will zoom it in and see the interesting thing. When we reload, we see that I'm checking out was executed. That's fine. However, if we go to add user and then we go to the add product, we see that it was not involved as well. But sometimes we would need to have some additional check every time we activate some child route. As example, we have different rights for admin. Someone has write permissions, someone has only read permissions, and every time we activate child route, we want to check permissions, all right? And you can also implement this by using CanActivate. And let's do it. So I will again use ng-generate and we say that we need guard and I will name it permissions. And we also like do it like CanActivate. Okay, here we go. Let me just delete the test file. And I will move it next to our authentication. Okay, and here in our service, let's add maybe some method like has permissions. Okay, and it returns observable of true as example for now. Good, and inside our permission, we would do something similar what we have done for our authentication guard. So I inject service and then I would need to check if this auth has permissions, then we can like enter this route. And we can save it actually and copy this, or I will remove also this route because we are not using them. And then I will go to my app routing and I have to like CanActivate and call permission guard against every route. So I can copy this here as well and I just paste it. And we have to import this, of course. Here we go. So if we reload and then I navigate between, we have to add also console log here in order to see if it was executed. So console log, like I'm checking permissions, okay? And now you see that we activated admin, so our auth guard was involved, and then we also do permissions check for add user component. And if we go to add product, you see that permission check again has been involved, right? And every time we try to activate some certain route or component, the CanActivate will be called also for child. But here we have only 2 children, yeah? But imagine the real life app has tons of child components. You can have, I don't know, dozens or even hundreds children's for your road, and you have to add manually this permission guard for every child, and this is very error prone because you just simply can forget to add it, and do not underestimate it. Really, it sometimes happens even with experienced developers. So the better way to handle this thing would be exactly CanActivate children. And the thing you have to do is just slightly modify our permissions guard, and instead of implementing CanActivate interface, you have to implement CanActivateChild. And here you have to just implement slightly different interface. So it's called CanActivateChild, and basically we can copy everything from CanActivate here and paste it in place of this throw error. And you can see this is very similar to what we had with CanActivate. We have just a child route. So this is the route which we're going to activate, and the state of the router state of the router state. So we are not going to use it, so I will remove it, but just to let you know that we have such arguments. Good. Don't we have any errors? Looks like no. And now we have used this permission guard in our routing, but we don't use this CanActivate anymore. We use CanActivateChild. And here inside array, I will provide our permission guard. And now I don't need it anymore for my children. And if I save it, we should see the same behavior. I will go to admin and I navigate between childs, and every time I activate child, this permission guard was executed. So once you add some new child to it, you should not care about providing the permission guard anymore, because by default everything under this road will be protected with permission guard. And now, as a small bonus, let me show you the pattern called componentless road, and it looks like this. So we just temporarily copy these roads here, and we introduce the new road, and the path for this road will be empty string. And here we don't define any component, that's why it's called componentless, but we called here children. And already here inside the children, we paste the roads we copied before. So it looks like this right now. So we have kind of middleware road which has empty string, and in our case, it doesn't change anything for us, because it still will be mapped as admin add user, because here is empty string. So yeah, we do admin, then technically should be some road, but because it's empty, there will be mapped the next one, add user. So if we save it like this, nothing has been changed, everything works fine. But what the benefit then from this pattern? Well, getting back to permissions, You can see that we have add users and add product, which means that this is something which is allowed to do only for admins who has right permissions. And you can see how we structured our route. So we have admin, and there it goes add user, and then we have add product. Yeah, they kind of on the same level, the child of admin route. But what if we want to have a route called list as example, which is also on the same level with the admin, but we want to have this route available for any kind of admins. So without this pattern, if we would revert it, we would need to add this list next to add product and add user, and our permissions guard, which check these strict rules, would apply also for this new router, which we could name list. You know what I mean? But we don't want to apply this permission guard to this particular route. We don't want to have it. That's why we're using this middleware route in order to group these two routes under the one guard. And in our case, it will be CanActivateChild permissions guard. Yeah, so we protect everything which is child for this pass and technically to admin with this permission guard. But if we want to introduce on the same level another component which should be accessible without any check, we can do it by adding it next to this middleware route. So here somewhere I will introduce the path with empty string, or not empty string, I will call it list, because I want to have admin / list and then render some component which we have to create. So let's maybe where are we going to create? Under the admin, I will generate, or let's generate material table. So I call it list. I declare it under the admin. Okay, looks good. I run it. So we can see that the list was generated. So now we can go to app routing and import the list component. Here we go. And now we can see that we have to add the action to this list, right? So, okay, here's our action. So I will duplicate it and then let's say show list. I will name it like this, and here the router link will lead to list. Here we go. Now we see the new action. You can see that permission checks happen to add user and add product, which are scoped by our componentless router, right? These guys. But if we navigate to the list, you will see that this check was not executed anymore. However, we have it on the same level with the add product and add user. So this is where this componentless router pattern might be useful. All right, guys, that was it. Thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget that this is just a first part of a video series about Angular router guards. In next video, we'll have a look at the rest of them. And if you like what I'm doing, please share this video with your colleagues, hit thumbs up, and of course, don't forget to leave your feedback in the comments section. And I wish you a productive week and see you in 2 weeks.